Sometimes the monsters are right in front of us, like Hasbro raising prices on figures.
Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime back for another Marvel Legends action figure review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Marvel Legends King in Black, Venom and Knull. So anyway, without further ado, let's just get right on into the packaging. And now taking a look at Hasbro's oh-so-precious plastic-free packaging. I do have to admit, the images do look nice. The King in Black logo looks nice. It does have this little bit right here. And it's got this nice comic book art as well. And then on the back, it's got the product shots and it shows the accessories and such. But, oh, and also there's that nice little Spider-Man hiding down there. But guess what? I honestly don't care. I should also mention that when you get these guys out of the box for the first time, they look like murder victims. They come with body bags and everything.
Into the trash you go.
And now taking a look at these accessories here, we'll start with the Venom ones first. First off, Venom comes with this closed mouth with a big old toothy smile. And thankfully, my paint didn't really come out too scuffed on my eyes. It is a teeny bit, but it's nothing worth making a fret over. The teeth, I feel like, could have been painted better just in general, despite Hasbro's new quality control problems, but thankfully mine again are not very messy. I just don't really like the way these are painted. Would have liked maybe a little bit more depth to these. Thankfully, I do get a lot more depth with this head, with the teeth right there, with the gums painted in, and the big old tongue right there. Anyway, and then he also comes with two pairs of clawed hands like this, which look really good. They got the little white square on the back of the hand. And again, these are the exact same clawed hands that came with the movie Venom. And then he also comes with a pair of fists, which also have the white square on the back and also are from the movie Venom figure. But as you can see, I have lost one of the fists. Don't worry, guys. I'm a professional, I swear. And then Knull's accessories. Knull comes with a pair of heads. First head here he comes with is where he's got a more blank expression. He's kind of more of a stern face. Kind of looks like a Count Dracula. And he's got the pale skin, the red eyes. The hair looks pretty nicely sculpted. I just hate how this hair limits upward articulation. But overall, I barely ever use this head. And then here is his much more in character, evil, maniacal grin. Or is it an angry face? Honestly, it works either way. I like the red eyes, and I like how his hair is a little bit more messy, a little bit more, flowing in the wind. And this is definitely the head that I keep displayed on him. And then here we have the actual Necro Sword, not that piece of shiz that showed up in Thor Love and Thunder. And here is taking a look at Venom first. I obviously went over this head, but I do love the way how it looks. Coming down the rest of the body here, again, this is the same body that was reused from the movie Venom, which I have previously reviewed. And everything here is exactly carried over directly from it, minus the paint apps. So it doesn't have all those white veins and everything. Instead, it has the classic comic book Venom logo right there. And it's got those white bits on the hands, and honestly, that is really it. And then, what I do appreciate is all my paint apps on the Venom all came out really good. Nothing is chipped or scuffed or looks like a piece of shiz. I do appreciate all of the detail and effort they went to make these holes in his back look natural enough. But I keep the wings in on this guy all the time, so it doesn't really matter to me. I just wish that this guy would look just as good when he's in his just standard Venom mode, because I understand there are a lot of people who don't really care for the wings, and I really wish you would be able to transfer those wings over to Knull as well, because Knull did feature those wings inside the comic as well. Just briefly going over this Venom's articulation, both of the heads are on a dumbbell joint. It allows him to look up that far, down that far, swivel from side to side. Shoulders rotate a full 360. They can move in and out. Bicep swivel, double bend at the elbow, which bends really far, thank goodness. Wrists rotate and hinge up and down. Same thing for the fists. Nice diaphragm joint, which allows for an arching back, a crunch diaphragm pivot. And then if you utilize this and then obviously waist swivel. If you utilize this actual ab joint, it allows for even more arching back, even more crunch, and that looks really good. Hips can kick forward that far, they can kick back that far, they can move outward pretty far. He does get a thigh swivel. Double jointed knees, and then the ankles can hinge up, down, and ankle pivot. And I really hate that Hasbro reused his disgusting toes. It's not just because I hate the look of it, but it's also not very functional because they reuse these feet, there are no peg holes at the bottom of the feet, and I really would have liked that because with the wings on this guy's back, it makes him fall over so much. Speaking of the wings, they come disassembled out of the box. But assembly of the wings is pretty simple. I mean, you just peg it into there, and then there you go. And then these big old pegs are gonna go right into the holes on Venom, and I do have to admit, mine were pretty tight to get in there, and the only reason that was easier for me to get in was because I have pulled this thing in and out multiple times, so it doesn't feel as loose, or it doesn't feel as tight as when I first got the figure. It's not that the wings are very fragile, it's just when you rotate them like this up and down, it almost feels like the entire peg isn't completely moving, and it almost feels like it's getting stuck in there, and I feel like I'm gonna strip the peg off, but it isn't actually doing that because the plastic they used for the peg is actually really sturdy. The wings are not very pleasant to pose. Also, the in and out of the wings is very limited. Basically, you only get this much out and this much in, because if you rotate it out any more than this, you get this ugly gap here that makes no sense to have. And if you rotate it in any farther than this, then the pieces just end up twisting off on you. So really in reality, you only get these two bits of articulation. But besides the articulation, I cannot deny how these wings look. I love the bright red. They got the glossy red right here with the more matted navy red going across it. All these ripped, torn bits on it. All the black looks really well. The back of the wings look really good as well, even though it is just plain black. I love all the molded detail, and it blends with Venom very well. And again, the posability and everything looks good. My only complaint is because he doesn't have any peg holes, it does get a bit of a chore to pose him. But I cannot deny how freaking metal and epic a winged Venom looks. Now that we've taken a look at Venom, you freaking piece of crap with your stupid toes. Well, let's just take a look at Knull already. Like I said before, the Knull heads look really good, and I prefer this one right here. But more on articulation in a minute, but they do limit the articulation. But again, they look great, so there's no denying that. And the rest of the body also looks really good as well. I like the red logo right here. My only complaint is it just feels a little unnecessary, but I can't deny that it does look cool. It's just from a logistic standpoint, it doesn't really make sense. Overall, I do like the way how Knull here looks. I like how he's got this like almost mummified look on the arms, where he's got these like mummy wraps going around on the arms and on the hands. And again, pinless joints on this new sculpt. He only comes with the one set of hands. He has this kind of open hand right here, or this like dramatic clawed hand, I guess. Very nice. And he does come with a grabby hand, obviously, for grasping his sword, kind of required. And also, I love the subtle bit of damage that's all across his battle armor. The ball joint on this shoulder pad is a little loose, so you kind of see it dangle a little bit throughout the review. And then also, I loved the torn up skirt thing right here. The belt is pretty plain, but whatever. And then here on the back, again, I like the detail, and then he's got this almost like muscle detail right here, and then more of that armor down here with these knee pads, these shin guards, and his feet. And again, really love how this looks. Love all this detail here. And again, I would have really liked for them to have added the holes on his back so we could have put the wings in there, but Hasbro didn't do that, did they? Going over Knull's articulation, he's got a double ball joint at the head. He has a dumbbell joint up here and a ball joint at the base of the neck, which allows for his head to look down a whole ton, but because of the hair, he can't really look up very far. These shoulder pads are on ball joints. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention the head pivoting at the neck as well. These ball joints at the shoulders allow for his arms to rotate pretty seamlessly, and then the shoulders can move outward that far. No butterfly joint, would have liked that. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, wrists rotate and hinge up and down, and then this one has that horizontal sword holding hinge. And then he has an arching back, which does allow him to look farther up more, I guess. It just looks a little unnatural. And then he can ab crunch, but I'm worried that this little flap of plastic will warp when you try to ab crunch. So he does have an ab crunch, but just don't do it for too long, or you might warp this piece of plastic here. And then due to the skirt thing here, the waist does feel a little bit limited, but thankfully the belt can move to accommodate it. It's mostly the hips that get hindered by the skirt part. They can move back that far, they can move outward that far. He does have a thigh swivel, double bend at the knee, and then his ankles can move down, they can move up, and he does get an ankle pivot. And he actually has pegals at the bottom of his feet. The only problem is, I really wish that this guy could have had the wings, and then those peg holes would have been justified. Honestly, he kind of stands up fine on his own. It's the Venom that really needed him. And wow, what a wingspan. One of the things I will say about these figures, just before we get into comparisons, is the promotional images, as well as a lot of the reviews that I watched on these guys, I didn't realize how big the Knull figure actually was and how big the Venom's wingspan was unless you get them in person. Like, these guys are actually a lot bigger than they look. Kind of justifies that overpriced price tag. Here they are with my last Marvel Legends review, the Marvel Legends High Evolutionary and Psycho Man. Come on, stay. Stay. Here is the Knull and winged Venom compared next to the movie Venom, just so you can see a little bit of difference between the paint apps, but also the size of the figures. And then here's the Knull and winged Venom compared next to one of my favorite Venom figures and action figures ever, the deluxe Venom Marvel Legends Monster Venom Eddie Brock version. So anyway, that's really it for comparisons. And that is basically it for my review on the Marvel Legends King in Black Knull and Venom 2-pack. Now, I love both of these figures very much. The Knull figure is a brand new figure that we've never seen, of a character we've never seen in Marvel Legends before, so it's very nice to get Knull, especially since he had such a huge impact on the Marvel comics with the King in Black line. And so I don't really have much to complain about with Knull, except that maybe he could have used a couple more accessories, especially to justify the price. And then the Venom, I think, is just fine. He comes with the right amount of hands, an alternate head, a pair of wings. The only thing I would have liked with Venom is maybe some black web effects, or just black webs in general, or even just an Eddie Brock unmasked head, or just something extra. But other than that, I don't really got much to complain about the Venom. So the real question here is, are these figures worth paying the big price tag? Yeah, I definitely like this pack, and I don't feel like I got ripped off. My only problem is that I understand that quality control is not something that we can control, and so the problem is you really got to get lucky and make sure you don't get a pair of figures that are all scuffed up or just don't look great. Thankfully, mine turned out fine, and I still, as much as the wings were a bit of a pain to get in, I still find the winged Venom really fun to pose, especially with the big old wings, even though he keeps falling over. And the Knull, honestly, I like the Knull a lot, but there's not really much poses that I'm willing to get him in. I really wish he had a couple of alternate hands. I wish his head could look up a little more. Maybe some butterfly joints, just little things that would just help make the deal feel a little sweeter for the price, because these guys are pretty expensive even for a Marvel Legends 2-pack, especially when compared to the Renew Your Vows one. But anyway, that is basically it for this review. So if I had to give this boxed set a rating, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Maybe closer to a 7, but I'm just going to stick with 8 for now. So anyway, that's basically it for this review. If you guys enjoyed the review, give me a like on the video. Comment down below what you guys think. Let me know what you think about this 2-pack or the review. And subscribe to the channel for more Marvel Legends content. And I'll catch you guys next time.